Welcome everyone to the Stadium Journey podcast, and thanks for joining us. For all you listeners out there, don't forget to check out our website, stadiumjourney.com. We are the leader, the world leader. We're not just the leader, we lead the whole damn world in sports travel information with reviews of over 2,500 stadiums from all around the world. And actually, I think we just passed the 2,600 mark not too long ago. 3,000. Watch out. Social media. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads, and more. We're easy to find at
Truth
Stadium
Social.
Journey. True Social?
No.
No True Social.
No.
Just kidding.
Yeah, don't make any jokes either right now. Don't forget, like, share, follow.
We'll go further.
To find other episodes of the Stadium Journey podcast. You watch this episode, it's your first one. You're so impressed, you got to see more. Simply type in HIAC Talk Radio Network wherever you look for your favorite podcast. We'll be there too. If you would rather watch a podcast, we have video simulcasts of all of the podcasts as well. Check out Stadium Journey's YouTube channel. And as always, you can be part of our studio audience. Join us every other Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Follow any of us on social media, and you will click on our links, and you will be here too. So let me take a minute before we start and introduce everybody. Dave Cotney's here. Follow him at ProFan9. Mark Viquez is here too. Find him at Ballpark Hunter. The above average comedian Dan Calachico's here. Follow him at DanLaw83. And I'm Paul Baker. You can find me at PuckmanRI. So tonight's topic, there have been some, shall we call them, seismic changes in college athletics recently, talking about conference realignment and NIL legislation. So Dave said, hey, let's talk about this and how it will affect the future of the college sports that we all know and love. So Dave's going to talk for an hour, and now we're all going to listen.
See you, bye.
I don't know about that. That would
so yeah, all the changes.
That would insinuate that I have some answers. Actually, I have more questions than anything.
I don't think anybody really knows what's going on. Okay, there's our podcast. See you later. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I like in the last decade, the changes that have happened in the NCAA are seismic. So I look at it that basically there's four kind of big pieces. First is the transfer portal.
Oh yeah,
which allows players to kind of come and go from your program at will.
Free agency for college players, yes.
Basically, I put this in a professional sort of lens. Like, can you imagine being a coach with 100% of your players being free agents every year?
That's right. Yeah, it's even greater free agency than the pros because these kids can leave every single year. It's not like they've signed multi-year contracts like in the pros.
And there's no restrictions at all. There used to be restrictions. So the biggest one, of course, was that you had to sit out a year,
right?
If you transferred. Then there were other ones, like some conferences would not allow you to transfer within the conference. So if you were a basketball player for Indiana and you wanted to transfer, well, okay, that's fine, but you can't transfer to, Minnesota or Illinois or whatever. So that's gone. They used to have, like, you could transfer as a graduate. So I remember there was a basketball player for Michigan, Spike Albrecht, and he was one of these guys who was just fun, a hardworking guy. And Michigan fans kind of lost their noodle because he transferred to Purdue, I think, for his last year. And it was basically, he graduated, and all you have to do is say you're going to a program that is not offered at your current university, and then you could do whatever. So, I mean, the transfer portal, the effects of it, I would say it makes following college athletics even harder than it currently is. I feel like in the last maybe 4 years, I've noticed that the NFL and the NBA are attempting to become 12-month-a-year sports, where you're always talking about it, and you can see it on I watch Pardon the Interruption, and the number of times that they're still talking about in the A block, the NBA, or the NFL, and there's nothing going on, right? Like it's quite often. But can you imagine like college football now could be a 12-month a year sport, right? Between recruiting and then the transfer portal and, you know, I don't know. I don't like what do you think what do you think the effects are going to be? How like is this a good thing?
I mean, we may have to look at it in 5, 10 years because I'm rocking the Indiana State merchandise today, and I think the whole team transferred out to go elsewhere, including head coach Josh Schertz, who went from $365,000 a year at Indiana State to about $2 million in St. Louis, and that doesn't include his NIL money. And then our prize star Robbie Avila, he headed over with head coach too, and he could have went anywhere he wanted.
Was that the
His
nerd?
That's the guy with the goggles.
The nerd guy?
that was
He
our
had some
next
great
one.
nicknames. I can't remember any
Yeah.
of them.
Well, one was like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and
Yeah.
he had some great nicknames, and I'm like, let's just tell you what Indiana State's like. We haven't had this much fun and excitement or a sold out crowd since 1979. When
Gee, what happened in 1979?
you had
There, I
Larry
wonder.
Bird, you had your last white nerdy looking guy lead you to the promised land. And in Indiana State, we had 6, 7 sellouts this year. We made the NIT championship game. Should have been in the NCAA tournament. It didn't happen. But I was finally proud of the Indiana State team. And I have no idea. We had a bunch of guys leave, but then we had a bunch of guys come in. I don't know what the heck this year is going to look like. I love Robbie Avila. I was there 2 years ago when he was a freshman and they were giving out goggles at the game. He became such a star in Terre Haute. But I get it. If you have a chance to go play for the coach that recruited you and you have a chance to make a ton of money and NIL money, I get it. I get it. I mean, I would probably do the same thing, but man, if he had just stayed 3, 4 years at Indiana State, they would have had his number retired. They would have had a statue of him perhaps one day. And who knows if he has a career in the NBA. But we're going to miss him. We're going to miss that team because it was not only was it exciting in at the Holman Center, the arena they play in, but downtown, the traffic, people were talking about Indiana State basketball. Nobody was doing that. They were talking about that and the baseball team. We're on top of the world. So yes, NIL sucks. I hate it. You're in college to get an education.
Well, and NIL is a funny one. So NIL was birthed out of the lawsuit that was basically spearheaded by Ed O'Bannon, and it was focused against Electronic Arts.
Yeah,
where they had in the video games, the college video games, they had a lot of kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I think Ed O'Bannon said, "Oh, here's this guy. He wears my number. He kind of looks like me. He's got the same height as me, same weight as me. It's me, right?" That was his I don't know, defense or whatever.
yeah.
And eventually, I think they ended up settling, but it brought in this idea of NIL. And I mean, I don't have a problem with NIL per se, but I think it's like anything else that we've been seeing in college athletics, right? Like the way that NIL is currently run, it's just another way of people kind of sticking their head in the sand. We're players paid before at big time colleges. Well, yeah, of course they were, right?
Eric Dickerson with his
Yeah.
Mustang at SMU.
Even in Eric Dickerson's book, he was like kind of downplaying what he got paid
Yeah.
at SMU.
This is an open secret.
But like this NIL now is not like, it's not guys, doing commercials and getting a couple bucks for doing commercials, right? It's boosters paying players, just like it was at SMU and 100 other schools. Which, like I said, I don't necessarily have a problem with somebody earning money for doing commercials or representing something or something like that. But like to say it's for their name, image, and likeness. Okay, well, where is their name and image and likeness being used? It's not. And And like the three of us, I think it's fair to say, the three of us having gone to university, we know what it costs. So it wasn't like these guys weren't getting paid. They were getting paid. Even by the school, they were getting paid, Paul, I hate to think about how much money you had your school cost. Super bougie muted, Paul.
Yeah, I just went to a state school, so I mean, I did go to Rutgers, which they think they're Ivy League sometimes, but that's also a state school. So yeah, I also did I did some time in community college. Yeah, you're there to get an education. Yeah, if you can make some money on the side, I don't have an issue with that. But I mean, shoot, if you're making millions of dollars now or six figures, you know, what is stopping a player going to a mid-major or to a small college and then saying, "Okay, I'm out of here, guys. I'm going to a larger school."
That's exactly what we're seeing happen.
And that's what we're seeing. What's happening now? Rob Avila is not going. He could have went to Illinois. He could have went to IU, but he followed his coach. He went to St. Louis. So I hope he doesn't get lost in the St. Louis traffic of professional sports teams out there. But he'll do fine. He'll do fine. But you're right. And we look at baseball teams. If you got a kid playing at Indiana State or he's playing the Ivy League. Oh yeah, this guy's got an arm on him. Hey, how about we bring him to the SEC? Yeah,
well, and I know now between NIL and the transfer portal, and I've sort of experienced this with my son, who's kind of thinking about, is it possible for him to go to the States and play baseball or whatever? And we did a recruiting meeting, and that meeting, I mean, it was like a real eye opener for us. Like one of the things they said is like, don't think that you're going to go to a Division I school. Like, it's probably not going to happen. Like, the Division I schools are going to take the cream of the cream of the cream of the crop, and those guys are probably going to sit on the bench. And why would a Division I coach spend all that time going and looking for people when he can just go to the transfer portal and see guys who have played wherever at junior college or Division II or whatever, who have a resume, as opposed to some guy who sat on a bench as a redshirt for the whole year. So, that landscape is really changing from an athlete's perspective, right? And it's, Mark, you brought up like getting your number retired. Is that going to be gone? Right? Like, is anybody going to stick around long enough that a school feels that it's worthy of retiring somebody's number?
It's going to take a special person, and it's also going to take exactly some of the achievements you made. I mean, before you would have players that would play 1 year. Kevin Durant at Texas, or I think you had Iverson at Georgetown. I don't know if he did 1 or 2 years.
He did more than 1 year for sure.
Okay, he did more than one. So, a guy like Kevin Durant, he was one and done. Greg Oden, one and done.
Ben Simmons,
one and done. You had to deal with a guy going pro for basketball. Now you got to deal with a guy, going to another college before he's even thinking about going pro. Look at Angel Reese. She was at Maryland before she went to LSU. But I don't know. A lot of the girls in college basketball stay a little bit longer just because of the money you make in the WNBA compared to the NBA. So you're right. It's just going to screw up college now. You got to lose faith in your team. Are you going to look at a coach who builds a great program, recruits these players? They're not going to be able to compete against the big boys. Someone's going to say, "Hey, come to Clemson, come to Florida, come to UCLA." Yeah, it's going to be hard to resist unless you really like that coach and you're devoted to him. You're right. It's going to be a whole new ball game. You're not going to see these teams last a long time. You're not going to see these teams develop. You're not going to see homegrown products stay at your school. There was a time a player stayed 3 or 4 years, and then that was dwindling. And that's one of the reasons why the girls' game in college basketball is becoming better, because these teams are staying around. And you're seeing some great, probably better basketball than you're seeing at the men's at this moment. So there's a lot to juggle here, and we're not going to see we may need some time to look back at the effects. I don't know what it's going to look like 5 or 10 years. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. The days of old are gone. Now they're going to pay the athletes. Yeah.
Well, and that just happened in May. I want to say that the Power 5 conferences came to an agreement where And to say that college sports is amateur is like really long gone, because now the conferences are acting like professional leagues. They they are going to be able to pay players. They're doing revenue sharing. Like it's just like the pro athlete or the pro owners. So I mean that's where I find it's going to be interesting, because the schools paying players is going to create a whole lot more expense for sure. How does that affect everything else? I'm not really sure, but what does that do to your season ticket base? Like you said, Mark, I don't know who's on the team. Well, if you don't have any connection
Mm-hmm.
to Indiana State anymore, are you going to buy season tickets? And for that kind of lower tier, who knows? They are not operating in the same fashion. Like it's not going to be, well, we're going to hold on to our guys for a year or two. I really like this guy. He's going to be great next year. I really saw him develop. How do you sell? And a team like Indiana State is not making a ton of money on TV or media rights, I'm sure.
Yeah, no,
They probably need to bring in ticket money. And how's that working? Is that going to be better? Is it going to be worse?
Well, I can tell you right now, if the whole team was coming back, or most of the team, you'd probably have a sellout crowd opening night. I don't know what that's going to look like this year. I don't know if you're going to have a sellout crowd, because it's going to be a whole bunch of new kids. Now, some of these kids that are coming in could be just as talented and be just as strong, and maybe compete for a title with Drake. But that nobody knows. And I think people want to see a winning team. Terre Haute's like, oh, finally, we got a winning program. When I was there, we had a winning program. Now we were 18-12, 17-10. We made a couple trips to the tournament, but this year was magical. So it's a shame that it's like you're told, hey, you just got this 1 year, not because these kids are graduating, not because somebody got injured. No, it's because they decided to leave and make more money or transfer. And I think one of the kids on the team, I want to say Jason Kent, I think he's transferred to his third school to play basketball. So you're right. And, could somebody just transfer every year to a new school just to say I play for 4 different colleges? I mean, that's crazy.
Well,
to
you
think
could
that.
get injury considerations too, right? Like, so there have been guys who've been injured and then like they're on their 6th or 7th college year. I don't know how that's going to go down. But I mean, those are all things that leave big question marks. The piece of this equation that I think is going to be really detrimental, that's really going to kind of just wreck the whole thing, is the conference realignment. And this, it just seems to me that the presidents, the athletic directors are now moving into like a whole new set of a whole new definition of greed, right? When you have the Pac-12, which is now the Pac-2, just totally disintegrate, and you have just like some sheer ridiculous maneuvers, like Stanford and Cal, West Coast teams now being in a conference with the Atlantic Coast, and geez Louise, like there's some serious travel expenses there. And it's not just the basketball team, it's going to be the gymnastics squad and the volleyball team, and it's going to be across the board. And losing the local rivalry just for TV dollars, I don't know. And some of these schools who are kind of at the forefront, I think they're going to suffer. Like, if Oklahoma and Texas moving to the SEC, do they just become like, like the middling SEC schools? Like, is Oklahoma just going to end up being like, I don't know, Tennessee? Or like, do they think they can still be at the top of the SEC? like in moving into a new conference. Like the movement from teams, like, I mean, if you thought it was difficult to follow where the players are going, where the team's going, who knows?
Yeah, absolutely right. We'll have these giant, we'll have like one conference from you will have a kind of like the American Hockey League will be coast to coast. That used to be Northeast and the Canadian provinces. Now we'll have like 4 divisions of like 10 teams apiece. Sounds crazy to say that in 2024, but who the heck knows what that can look like in 5 years? Yeah, and you're right. You're changing up local rivalries. I mean, even the Missouri Valley Conference. I want to say, I don't know, was it Missouri State or Southern Illinois that left? That left, and Creighton used to be in there. Wichita State, Loyola was in there. Teams come and go. It's hard to keep up these days. And if you're a big college football fan, you're going to sound like an old curmudgeon. You're going to wish for those good old days. I'm not a huge college fan. Obviously I root for Indiana State, but yeah, I want to see my team do well, and I want to see the players leave. And here's another thing: let's say these new players that come in, they do well, yeah, they'll get recruited to somebody else. So you go through that again, which we'll hear stories. I'm telling you, 10 years from now, we'll look back and we'll wonder if this was a good idea or not. Kind of like free agency in baseball in the mid 70s. People going, oh my goodness, guys can just leave and get paid to the highest bidder. That's going to change the game. Somebody's
It's
going
going to
to
ruin everything.
It's going to ruin everything.
So-
And it didn't.
So, well, except that you had contracts, and maybe that's where we're going to go. Where, if you want to go to, okay, we're going to offer you a scholarship, or we're going to offer you a NIL, we're going to offer you to be paid, but you're locked in for 2 years or 3 years.
2 to 3 years.
Is that something that's going to come to the NCAA?
I could see that. What about you, Paul? What do you say? You're
Really?
quiet today.
I'm going to take a devil's advocate point of view.
Go for it.
I think this is very good for college athletics. We've been railing for decades about the NCAA's policies. Now most of them are being destroyed. I think if you're going to a smaller school, you now have a chance to catch lightning in a bottle. And yeah, you're not going to be building programs like you did, but man, you could catch lightning in a bottle and have a great year like Indiana State did last year. Under the old system, that wasn't going to happen as much. I mean, the conference realignments, yeah, some of that sucks, but some of it's fantastic. My worries is that we're creating a stratification of college sports where we're going to have haves, middle ground, have-nots, and forget about it.
And Alabama,
yeah, it's going to be like a farm. It's going to be like a farm system. Yeah, exactly. You play well, you're going to move up. Hey, maybe it's like English soccer, right? You play well, you move up. You stink and you move down.
That's an interesting concept.
I'm just thinking of also before the NCAA existed, what college sports were like. Talking, late 1800s, early 1900s, where it was just basically, it was not amateur at all. It was, you got paid to play. Look at all the major leaguers from the early part of the 19th century or the 20th century who were pros at college. That was basically the minor leagues back then. So I don't know. There's a lot of ways it could go. I think some are going to be working out and be good for the sport, for college sports. So others are not. Dave, you mentioned smaller sports. That could be an issue. What we might see are certain conferences for this. I think what we'll end up seeing is certain conferences for the big sports, for football and basketball, and other conferences for the smaller sports. Yeah.
see, that makes a whole lot more sense than I think. Like, I think the best plan would be to have football conferences and then everything else conferences.
Yeah. Because, a softball team from Rutgers can't go play UCLA all the time. Can't make 4 trips out to California every year. Also, the trickle down that I wonder about, working for several colleges, what's the trickle down to Division II? What's the trickle down to Division III? Because you're seeing some of that stuff now already.
Yeah, it's to say it's a time where we're questioning what's going to happen is it's got to be the understatement of the decade. Like, what is this going to look like in 5 years? Like, who knows?
I don't think the powers that be know. They're being reactive very much. They're not being proactive in the
Well,
leagues.
and here's a big question, and I'm not sure it's figured out yet. So, you guys can fix my dates here, but I want to say about 30 years ago, the NCAA came up with Title IX, which basically provided the idea of equality.
It's like 50 years ago.
That was in the 70s, Dave.
73.
It was just
Yeah.
believe me, because I had to
50.
read promos for it in every college game I did this past year.
Yeah.
Last
Yeah,
year
it's like
was the
73,
50th anniversary of Title IX.
73.
All right. So, but it basically gave kind of equal opportunity for
Women's
sports and men's sports. So it wasn't like you could have, 200 scholarships on the men's side and 5 on the women's side. They have to be even.
Right.
So if you're, how does that affect like paying players? If you're doling out, $2 million, that's probably way low. But if you're doling out $2 million in athlete salaries on the men's side, do you then have to just dole out $2 million on the women's side?
Title IX doesn't address paying of players.
Not yet.
Not exactly, not yet.
Yeah.
But
Well, you mentioned somebody
is a
mentioned
scholarship? Why would you even bother offering a scholarship?
I think the days of scholarships may be gone. Football
Yeah,
players,
like-
we're going to pay you. We're not giving you a scholarship. We're going to pay you.
And like and maybe we're getting to the point where it's like, okay, we're pulling back the curtain. Like North Carolina was writing tests for people, and there's a litany of academic fraud that was going on with athletes. Like, are we coming to the point where it's like, no, you're not, like, you play for this team which is owned by this school, but you're not a student at this school? Are we there?
Let's talk about the Dartmouth lawsuit.
Do it. I don't know anything about it.
I know very little about it. Some athletes from Dartmouth College in New Hampshire went to court to sue that they are not students of the university. They are employees of the university. So their argument was that they deserve fair wages, and they won. So we'll see what happens with that. There it is, right there.
$0.7 million.
Thanks, Dan.
Settlement. Look at that.
So yeah, what this means, I don't know.
Well, and then okay, so who are employees? All athletes?
Yes.
Okay.
Or is it just employees or just the members of the revenue producing sports?
Yeah, like
if your fencing team isn't bringing any money into the college.
Yeah, totally. Like Paul, you work for a minor league baseball team. If they weren't making money and they didn't have the credit, what were they doing? They were shutting the doors, right?
Yep.
And is that, like, are we coming to the point where football is no longer going to be able to inflate the entire athletic budget?
Uh-oh, Dan. Dan, no visiting porn sites during the podcast, please.
I saved mine to the hard drive, sir. I don't know what that is. That's a terrible pop-up.
So, we were saying, like, with the in the Indiana State example, how are they going to connect with their fan base, right? How are they going to bring in season ticket holders for a year after, like, everybody's gone? Take it to the next level. Students now are different than students were when we went, right? And before that. So connecting, I know I've talked to people who run Canadian university athletics, and connecting to students is probably the number one issue that they have. They just, to get students to come out to games is really difficult. And it's easy to get the students to come out to, like, Virginia Tech to do the Enter Sandman. It's easy to get students to come out to, camp out at, Shesheskyville so that they can, heckle the other team, because, that's all fun. That's a big party. Once those things start to erode, how do you get your students to come out? Like, we're moving to a place where the athletes are not going to be gods walking around on campus where, people are running around following them and whatnot. And social media has kind of changed that. Like, who is the biggest college athlete right now on social media? Isn't it Livy Dunn, gymnast at LSU?
If you say so, I don't know.
Yeah, she's
probably. She's doing her classes like remotely because she can't go to class. Are those days gone where the athlete on campus is a big deal, right? Because why would they be on campus? They don't have to be on campus. And then take it to the next level. Well, what if you want to play a sport and want to go to school?
You can do that.
As a coach, though, hey, wait a second. You're being paid to play basketball, or you're being paid to study the football playbook. Forget this, science class or whatever. Like, you don't have time for that. You have to know what's on the football playbook.
Well, then if that's your priority, you got to go to a different school.
What people are going to schools are going to
There's only a few thousand of them out there.
That's actually still a school. You could be a student at our school. Come to my school.
That's why I was saying we're going to have the stratification. You're going to have like D1 and the D2. They're already talking about having 2 D1s already. So
yeah, I could see the group of 5, quote unquote, doing their own kind of national championship in football in the not too distant future. Basketball, I have no idea. And like it's all the sad part is all of this, everything is about money. It's all money.
But don't you think that if a student or a bunch of students are bringing millions of dollars to a university, that they don't deserve part of that cut?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I am saying that some of these changes are just beyond, and it's not necessarily about paying players. Like, is conference realignment about paying players?
It's about chasing money.
It's about getting more money. When these college presidents destroy the NCAA basketball tournament by making it 96 teams, or the Power 5 conferences remove themselves and they do their own thing, right? Is that about paying players? No, it's just about getting more money. And the greed that's involved to just destroy what is already good it's a little scary.
Is it good, or is it just the status quo?
Do you think you can make March Madness better?
Let everybody in. Go crazy.
Oh my gosh.
That's madness.
61 tournament.
256 teams.
I mean, they want to make more teams, but I'm thinking, because you imagine the NBA took, the top 16 teams, just had them play once. Or something like that.
Well, I guess the Celtics still would have won this year.
Yeah, the in-season tour. Yeah, the Celtics would have taken care. No, I don't think the Final Four I think is perfect the way it is, but you're right, money, TV money, a chance for a school that would not make it to make it. Everybody's always trying to tinker with something, growing up, baseball, you had East and West play each other. Generation before me, you had one pennant winner. Now you have 6 teams. So things change through time. And I think we're just in the beginnings of college basketball, or college sports, I should say. Yeah, some people will like it. I think the younger generation will like it. I think we're the old fogies who are saying, get off my lawn. But
why would the younger generation like a 96 team basketball tournament?
Well, I'm not saying that particular, but I'm thinking the younger generations is going to enjoy the fact that they can, make a decision on leaving a college and getting paid and not having to wait out a year. And there may be some kids that enjoy it. Maybe you're a fan of a big school that always wins. Oh yeah, we'll just take your players. Kind of like the Red Sox and Yankees at one time.
Back in the 90s? Yeah, that was was that good for baseball? To an extent, but then it was those 4.5 hour baseball games.
Yeah. It was good for the Red Sox because they finally won some World Series. Nobody feels sorry for them anymore.
Okay, so I was thinking about this. If this is all about money, and the pros are already all about money, is there a scenario where the NFL says, you know what? Let's not limit ourselves to Thursday, Sunday, Monday. Let's go all out. Let's run a full Saturday schedule. Let's run the Dallas Cowboys against Alabama at the same time. I mean, let's face it, this is what's happened to college basketball, right? The ratings in college basketball have been so watered down until the tournament because it doesn't matter. Like nobody cares about watching college basketball on Saturday afternoon when the NBA is going to run against them. Is there a scenario where the NFL just goes both barrels and says, you know what? Saturday's a lucrative football day. We're gonna put our stamp on Saturday.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Well, they already have their stamp on
Yeah,
Saturday,
they already own Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays.
Yeah.
They what would they play? One game on Saturday, one game on no, they're not gonna.
Why not 2? Why not 3?
They have an agreement.
They have it all worked out. Yeah, they've got an agreement. That's their minor leagues. They're not gonna screw that.
That's not an agreement. They don't have an agreement.
Yeah, oh yes, they do.
Well, the NFL doesn't
Absolutely.
play
They've
Saturday
had an agreement for
until
years and years and years.
That says that they're not going to play on Saturdays?
That they're not going to compete directly with the college games. Yes, they do.
Until the season's over. Now, I don't know what's stopping the NFL from having a Tuesday or Wednesday night game, but that's a different
recovery time.
We'll have a game every day. No more Sundays. Oh boy.
I mean, that's what I would do. I was like, you know what? Football's lucrative. Like, why would we want to divide our audience on Sundays where they have to choose between one of 5 games? Well, let's run some of those games on Saturdays. And we'll take some of that college audience away. And we're still going to run our Sundays, and we're still going to keep that audience.
Do you think that's the reason that college basketball ratings are lower, or is it because there's 500 college basketball teams and they're playing all week long at all times of the day, and anytime day or night you want to watch a college basketball game, you can find a college basketball game? That's why the ratings are down, not because they're competing with the NBA. It's because there's always a game on and it's saturated.
I don't think that's it, because if you look at who CBS runs or what, like, it's always the same teams. Like, you can watch Duke on a national game like every weekend. I think part of basketball is that they don't have their day. They, like, you know, college football Saturday, NFL Sunday, right? Like they own the day.
Yeah.
College basketball definitely does not have the day anymore.
That's what I just said.
Used to Saturday afternoons, but whatever. I think another thing is that you have that same issue where there's no stars to kind of keep the program running, right? You know, you had, like, way back, you had like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar playing at UCLA for 4 years, and then, you know, Bill Walton the next 4 years or whatever, and you had that carryover. You know, you could watch a guy, but then when the NBA required their players to have a year of college, then everybody was, well, not everybody, but your top levels were all one and done. That's what I think. No?
Yeah. You know what? Who the heck knows what's going to happen? I mean, like I said, it's a changing time, just like the world of politics right now. Things are up in the air. We don't know what the heck's going to happen. We may be surprised next week by something new. But yeah, I don't know if college is going to say, hey, let's put a stamp on this particular day or weekend and try to compete with the NFL or other sports. And who knows, maybe baseball with the NIL becomes big. And besides the SEC, we see new stadiums being built that are very nice, state of the art. They destroy what the heck these other teams are playing in, like Lafayette and like IU and Bloomington. And I think, Ball State built a nice stadium. I'm just talking about the local ones near me. Kentucky, state of the art down there. Holy moly, is that a beautiful ballpark? So, we can look at these other sports. Will field hockey have nice stadiums? College soccer, will
Gregory is hoping that field hockey and college soccer have nice stadiums.
Who knows? Hey, I'm all for a good field hockey game. I wouldn't mind watching that. It's a sport that looks painful to be bending over and playing. Like kills my back.
Field
watching.
hockey, I've announced the field hockey game as the worst sport in the history of the planet. I don't know.
Yeah,
awful.
I don't know.
Especially if you're left-handed.
Yeah.
I could imagine.
Yeah, were you the one who told me you can't use a left-handed stick?
There's no left-handed sticks in field hockey. No.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Talk about being stuck in the past.
Wow. And you can only touch the ball with the flat side of the stick.
Right. But you know what's pretty cool though? These girls have learned how to hit the ball up in the air and run and hit it and run and hit it and just get down the field.
Yeah.
I would say that.
But what a stupid sport.
It's almost up there with football with the number of rules that are going on. It's a confusing sport. There's a lot going on in field hockey. I actually coached it for a little bit.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But they're grade 7 to 8 girls. Like, go hit the ball. No, don't use the back of the stick. Hit the ball with the front of the stick.
It's funny, like only one person takes all the shots on the team. It's kind of like lacrosse in that way.
So, what was the school?
I don't know. If you're supposed to have answers to these questions, we're not gonna.
You know that you would know the school because it's up around your area. There was a school that just axed its complete athletics department.
They didn't axe it. They downgraded it to Division III, University of Hartford.
No, that's not who I'm thinking of. It's
you're thinking of there was a team.
It's a St. Francis, I think.
Yeah, it was in New York. St. Francis, yes.
And they killed their entire athletic department. Is that?
Yeah, I actually wrote an article about it. Yes.
It was riveting. You should read it.
I should read what I write. You're right.
No, you as the audience, you should read Paul's riveting article at St. Francis.
I just really put the good stamp on it. Yeah, I don't even remember it.
Are we? Do you think that's going to happen again?
Yep, I think you're going to see both of these things with what University of Hartford did, downgrading to D3 to save money, or even just saying sports aren't worth it.
No,
you're going to see a lot of these small schools. What boggles my mind lately is the amount of schools that have moved all their programs up to Division I. I'm thinking just in New England, we've seen
Bellarmine in Louisville, Kentucky.
St. Thomas.
They don't have a stadium.
Minnesota.
Like that,
Merrimack
that's like a local...
in Boston, Stonehill. All these little tiny schools with enrollments of 2,000 students playing D1 football and D1 everything else. It boggles the mind when you see other schools just saying, you know what, it's just not worth it. We can save $20 million by just getting rid of athletics or just downsizing all of our athletic programs.
And I think
you're going to see more of it. Schools are going to have to make that decision.
Say, like the stats say that most schools take a loss on athletics. Like even the big ones they take a loss on athletics, take a loss on football. The part that we really don't know is what do the schools, like how do the schools monetize the pride factor, like how do they monetize the publicity that they get from athletics? How does that translate into students coming in, applications,
alumni donations,
exactly. That seems to be like an extremely complex math issue that I feel that anyone could kind of turn whatever way they wanted to, kind of like the stadium is going to have an economic effect on the town. But I'd love to know that. I'd love to know like a school saying, yeah, we run athletics and here's why. It does this for our admissions. It does this for our applications.
It's a loss leader.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like toilet paper at the front of the grocery store. But I have no idea.
Or those Costco hot dogs for $1.50.
I heard those are really good, actually.
My wife won't let me go to Costco.
Why not?
Because I would be dangerous in Costco.
You can. Those $5 rotisserie chickens.
So that being said, I've never been to... Well, I've been to Costco like decades ago, but
yeah,
I don't have a membership, and Not allowed to get one.
I can see what I like about Costco, you get 40 bottles of water for $4. So we use a lot of water, and that's a pretty cheap.
Wait
thing
a
to
second.
do.
40 bottles of water for $4.
Yeah.
And Indiana doesn't really do recycling.
No, that's insane. Yeah, I got yelled at by a guy. I was recycling my cardboard, and I was recycling my bottles. And the guy goes, you got to put your cardboard in that container, not here. And I was telling him, like, okay, I'm sorry, man.
When I was down there, I could we're at this this ballpark, Grand Park. This massive complex. Everybody and their sister has like a Gatorade bottle or a plastic water bottle. Not one recycling bin in the whole place.
No, welcome to
26
Indiana.
ballparks, zero recycling bins.
Yeah. I told Dave, I said, if I wanted to get a recycling bin, I would have to pay extra. That's insane. You should encourage people to recycle. And Indiana, especially where I live in Fishers, Westfield, Carmel, the recycling is just lazy people. They're not Canadians. They're not from Seattle. They're not even from New Jersey. We've been recycling for a good 35 years. So, oh well.
That's why I use Brita filters.
Yeah, that works too. And then I have a lot of my high school kids will carry around, giant jugs of water all day long. So they're doing something, I guess. But anyway, how about colleges, recycling programs? Do you think those will improve with the NIL money coming in? Maybe at Husky Stadium.
When I worked at a day program for autistic adults, one of our contracts for jobs for these guys was recycling at Wheaton College.
Nice.
So we'd pack a bunch of folks in the van every day and head on over to campus, and we would hit all spots of the campus, collecting all the recyclables, bring them over, making sure they all got processed. And
I was thinking the same.
It was employment for some of our individuals, so it was really a nice program.
Greg and I were thinking the same.
Yeah, jugs of water. I got you.
Jugs of water. Get your mind out of the gutter, boys.
If it wasn't in the gutter, it'd be homeless.
Yes. Stop thinking about Sydney Sweeney. Knock it off.
Well, it looks to me like we have come to the end of our discussion, huh? We're talking about recycling.
And now we're over. Great.
Now that Greg joined us, let's all leave.
I just saw that movie she was in. Anyone But You. Great movie. Nice rom-com.
Greg just joined us and said that Twitch didn't say he was live, but it's 7:30 every other Monday, brother.
Hey, I got here early today.
I would like access to the social media so I could, tweet it and post it out, but they won't give me access to it.
No.
I'm a naughty boy.
I'm a bad boy.
I'm a bad boy. That's what Kat Dennings told me.
You met Kat Dennings?
No, I wish. That would not be good for either one of us. I'd go to jail and she'd sign up a restraining order. It's best I.
Okay, well let's not go that route.
We don't do that.
You guys know you could get kicked off of Snapchat? I didn't think that would be possible.
You can?
Apparently
so.
I
get like vag pics from bots every fucking day on that.
Like,
app.
There's a reason I never opened that app.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. Is this a real person or what the fuck?
Yes, it is. It's somebody I know said they just got kicked off of Snapchat because they called somebody gay.
Well, why did they call somebody gay?
Yeah, well, speaking of social media, I get a lot of emails saying, "Hey, I read your content on Stadium Journey. I'd like to offer you."
I have a job of a foot fetish next door. If you'd like to.
No, you can get banned from Nextdoor, that app that. Oh, I heard gunshots. There was gunshots.
What is Nextdoor? I don't even know what that is.
Oh, that's like the neighborhood app where lost dog or there's some suspicious person walking around. Or I heard shots at 1:00 in the afternoon, even though it was fireworks.
I live near a gun range. I'm always hearing shots.
Or hey, can you stop burning your garbage outside? I want to leave my windows open. That was from the Spice Land, Indiana. I don't know how I got on there, but I thought that was funny.
Either.
All right. Well, I don't think we're talking about NIL anymore.
I don't know if I can show that. I'm not going to show that one, but yes,
all right, show that one. All right.
I get what he's doing. I get what he's trying to say, but some people on text don't understand the sarcasm, so I'm going to let that one go.
Would that get kicked? Would that get you kicked off of Nextdoor?
That will get you kicked off. No, actually, it'll probably get you a VIP on Nextdoor.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up because I can't think of anything else to say about college stuff.
Imagine if he bandaged the other ear. Anyway,
all right, Kyle Glass.
Oh, no, that's half the posts on Nextdoor. Listen, I thought Kyle Glass is very funny. I thought the joke was funny. So sue me. Oh, don't say that because he probably would. Never mind.
I guess cancel culture does work both ways now, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Cancel culture is a thing, apparently, for leftists.
All right. So, so everybody, thanks for listening to us ramble for the last 10, 15 minutes.
I know. Dave sounded very professional. It was the silence in between that was confusing.
There you go. Dan, where can our listeners follow you?
You can follow me. Funny enough, I almost got banned on Twitter the other day. Like, I got permanently banned for 2 minutes. No lie. And then
that wasn't permanent then, was it?
And then, well, it was. So I was ranting about NHL 24, and I said the words, "I hope EA Sports passes away and the developers from that company rise from the ashes and create a new gaming development company." And those words,
the bot saw a pass.
The bot was like, "Get the fuck out of here! Oh, heck out of here!" And I have to fix that later. The bot was like, "Get out of here!" And then as soon as I got the email saying you're permanently banned, in the time it took me to appeal it, I got an email saying that was our bad. Sorry. I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm keeping it then." You can find me almost getting permanently banned on X, Twitter, Threads, Mastodon, Blue Sky, not Snapchat. It's useless. Where else am I? I don't know. Everywhere. DanLaw83, Grindr.
Unless you show up for those 2 minutes on X, then
Jew Date, Farmers Club, or whatever it's called. It's all me.
Truth Social.
Dan is everywhere.
Hey, listen, if it's True Social, you know what? Never mind. I should be able to go on there and say what I want. That's all I'm saying.
All right, Mark, where can our listeners follow you? And you got any stadium journeys planned before we get together again?
You can follow me on Ballpark Hunter, Twitter, and YouTube. Follow me on YouTube. I got some new videos coming out. I just got back from Kane County. That was a fun day at the ballpark. The place was packed. A lot of screaming and crying kids because they didn't get to see Bluey. You can check out that article coming up sometime this week. I think on the 24th it's coming out. If you want to take your kid to see Bluey, be prepared. Everything doesn't go accordingly. I don't know where I'm going. I got really been a light schedule this summer.
Sounds like this podcast. We didn't know where this was going either.
Yeah, for some ballpark trips. I know I talked to Dave. I actually saw Dave in person, and my original plan was to be in Cleveland at the Guardians game tonight, but that didn't work out. So I may just do something local, like the Terre Haute Rex of the Prospect League, and answering Greg. They didn't get to see Bluey because they had to wait 90 minutes. The people in the character 30 minutes. Then they had to take a break for 30 minutes. Then they came back. It wasn't
a character. He needed Bluey. She needed a drink of water and rest. And then
parents were screaming, kids were crying. There was a little boy just crying his heart out. He didn't get to see Bluey. I felt so bad for him. So
that son of a bitch.
Yeah. So he's going to resent his parents for a long, long time. So for me,
you're not my real dad.
Yeah, you didn't take me to see Bluey when I was 6.
You know what? Santa Claus isn't real.
Yeah, the Easter Bunny. That's just a guy dressed up.
There, over there is a guy in a suit.
So anyway, where I'm going to be, I'm hoping to be at the Terre Haute Rex Prospect League. We need an update on that, and I'm hoping to get to Louisville, but I don't know. I don't really have any plans. I think we have a bunch of new teams coming into this new arena, so that's going to be September, October. So we'll have more then.
We're gonna see each other before September, October, Mark. Don't worry.
Oh. Where are you going to be?
No, not me and you in person.
Oh, me and you. Okay.
I mean the podcast.
Right. Oh, yeah, the podcast. You're right. Well, see, I go back to school. I still think I go back in September, but August.
Greg, that's a very good question. Why didn't they have 2 Blueys?
Gregory, stop being logical.
Stop with your logic, Greg.
Because they probably charge an arm and a leg, and they don't feel like bringing out 2 Blueys. Now you
I
could have
thought
had
there
2.
was. I thought it was Bluey. There's not
They have
2
to-
Blueys. Come on.
No, Blue. Well,
There's-
no, 2. No, 2 Blueys. Like one trades off.
No, Dave's playing the game I was playing earlier. It's one Bluey, and she needed a
They
break.
could have had Bluey, and then Bingo could have came.
I got
They
you,
could have
Dave.
done that.
I
How
got
about that?
We could have Bluey, then Blue.
I like how everybody knows who Bluey is. That we're
I
grown,
love
grown
Bluey.
men.
Bluey's
Yeah.
because dogs watch the show. I'm telling you.
Okay. Yeah.
The
Well,
people will put on
Socks.
Bluey, and the dogs will go.
Zuri never cared what was on TV. Socks was the one
Zuri
who
was
would
had a
bark.
brain. That's
Yeah.
why.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have Socks watch Bluey, see what he thinks.
No, Socks probably has a brain. Like, I'm not stupid. That's a TV show.
Of.
We were watching old
We've
commercials.
talked way too much about Bluey. On
You
this
know, here's another thing
podcast.
about Bluey.
No,
No,
I like the one
he's
where
a-
they're
This
playing
was an
cricket.
episode of Friends. It'd be called the Bluey episode.
the
he's a
Bluey
healer
show.
dog.
He's a blue healer.
Gregory,
Yeah.
no, it is not. It is not Blue's Clues Jr. No,
No, it's
no.
not. Blue is also a girl. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Bluey's, his father's name is Bandit. Mom's
All
name
right,
is
yes.
Chili.
All right, go.
Hey,
Dave.
let's go.
We have to get
Hey.
a younger demographic to
Wrote
listen to
your
our
lower
show,
third.
darn it.
Let's go.
You know what? If we did
Oh.
a podcast about Bluey, we'd probably pull in a lot more viewers.
You know,
Only
I'm
if
gonna
we
say-
Or
did
mascots.
it earlier because it's
Taking-
past everybody's bedtime.
Can we
Yeah.
name the episode? We also talk about Bluey.
Sure.
Go
I
ahead.
love it. I love it. King County Cougars, a great place to take your kids. They have one of the biggest
It's a great place
kids
to
zone.
traumatize your
and
children. with not
pony
being Bluey.
rides. Pony rides. As long as Bluey's not there, traumatizing you.
I can just mute him if you like.
All right. At ProFan9,
Thank you, Dave.
Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. This Wednesday, got an afternoon weekday game at the Buffalo Bisons. That's going to be a blast, as long as it doesn't rain. And of course, that means we're going to stop at Pearl Street Grill for wings and a blue-eyed blueberry blonde, best beer there is. And I'm hoping this weekend to catch the new Inter-County Baseball League team, the Chatham-Kent Barnstormers. So my hope is to get to them on Sunday, but we'll see how that goes. So follow that at ProFan9.
All right, my turn. Follow my Stadium Journeys on Twitter, Instagram at PuckmanRI. Where am I going to be? I'm going to be the same damn place I've been all damn summer. I'm going to be at Campanelli Stadium. The Brockton Rocks have 2 more weeks left in their season, and the New England Knockouts are coming back. So that's where I'll be 12 out of the next 14 days. So if you need me, come to Brockton.
If you need me, you know who to call. Somebody else.
That's always my philosophy anyway. So, folks, remember, you can find all of our 2,500 plus stadium reviews, news items, and other feature stories on the mother website, stadiumjourney.com. Also, check us out on our social media channels at Stadium Journey. So simple. If you're looking for audio versions of the Stadium Journey podcast, just be warned, we don't always talk about Bluey. But anyway, you can find all the old episodes by searching. We do talk about random things from time to time, just like we did tonight.
Usually pork roll, but now we're swifted to Bluey.
Yay. HIAC Talk Radio Network is where you can find old episodes of the Stadium Journey podcast or new episodes too. And video simulcast can be found at Stadium Journey's YouTube page. And feel free to join us live at 7 Eastern, Gregory, 7, every other Monday night. Just, follow any of us on social media, and there will be links posted for you. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Geez, that brings us into August, doesn't it? August 5th. We don't have a topic selected yet, but, it's going to be awesome.
We should do this again. We should talk. I want to talk. I want Dave to talk about something that nobody else wants to talk about, and it sounded better than my rambling. So I was like, you know what? I could edit out the silence. It's still gonna sound good. I just thought it was. I was like, nobody else read on this, huh?
As always, everybody, thanks for joining us. For Dan, Mark, and Dave, this is Paul wishing you all safe stadium journeys and close games.